is Jill Heinerth, and I'm Explorer in Residence for the Royal Canadian Geographical Society. We're going to dive into the exploration mindset today, and this is the second part of our video series. In our last episode, we looked at how I started my life as a young explorer. I literally laid in my bed in my bedroom, looking up at the ceiling, thinking about the things that I might do in the future. And I want you to know that those imaginative dreams that you have as a child can come true with hard work. So what do you need to be an explorer? We looked at important traits, including being curious, being open-minded, helpful, strong, being a good problem solver, and somebody who is inherently careful. But another thing drives my explorations, and that's a sense of purpose. If I'm going to take a risk in life, if I'm going to do something that has some inherent dangers, for me, it has to be worth it. It's not about just a thrill for me. And a lot of people think that that's what cave diving is all about. But it's not just about that adrenaline rush of doing something that's exciting. For me, the drive is to go to some place that nobody's been before, or to explore some sort of a phenomenon and bring back images and information and samples for a scientist. So that means that I'm collaborating with other people. I'm working on a team. My exploration career really began in central Mexico when I volunteered to work with the United States Deep Caving Team on some explorations in this beautiful part of Mexico. This is in the middle of the country, in these mist-shrouded, rainforest-covered mountains. And when you first see these mountains, they're stunningly beautiful. But it's what's inside those mountains that's of the greatest interest to me. So if I peeled away the front of these mountains and you could look inside, you would see a whole bunch of tunnels and passages that lead from the top of the mountain deeper and deeper down into the earth. In fact, in this particular mountain range, we have over 53 miles or almost 100 kilometers of passageways with 25 entrances that pop out in the mountain. And that's over 1,560 vertical meters from the highest entrance to the deepest exploration inside the mountain. So that means that cavers and cave divers are rappelling down on rope, crawling on their hands and knees through half water-filled passageways. Sometimes we're rappelling down a waterfall and then stooping down through a passageway. But other spaces inside caves are enormous, like the size of an entire gymnasium. And what's inside this mountain is drinking water. So it's important to the people that live topside. Now, as we explore from the top down inside this mountain, we eventually get to places where we can go no farther unless we dive under the water. And that's where I get excited. But if you started a dive in this location, in this cave, when you surface with an empty tank, somebody's got to tank that empty tank all the way back to the surface. And that's up over 2 kilometers, actually 3 kilometers of rope to get back to the surface to get a tank filled. Now, this project all started by volunteering and saying, how can I help? So it required a lot of effort, both planning and also the execution. Even to get to these dives, we have to do some major work to get our equipment to the right location. We use a lot of local support. We carry things, we hire locals to assist us, and then we even hire their burros to carry our heavy gear. Now, when we went on this particular trip, we expected to see this beautiful clear water, and we thought, we're going to dive in the bottom of the mountain and try and work our way up to where explorers had left off on previous explorations. But when we got there, it was rather unexpected, the kind of conditions that we saw. We didn't have clear water to dive in. And, well, in fact, the water looked like this. It looked like mud. There were landslides that were carrying vast quantities of mud down the mountain and into this canyon and into this cave, making it impossible for us to even see as we were diving. Now, explorers have to make a map or it doesn't count, right? You can't just go there, have a good time, and come home. You want your work to count, and that includes creating a map. And we said, we have a plan. We have a sense of purpose. We know what we need to do next. 2 years later, we went to Wakulla Springs in North Florida to do something amazing, create the very first and most accurate map ever created of any three-dimensional space underground, dry or wet. But we decided to do it in a place that was really, really difficult. Now, why would we want to do it? Well, certainly explorers need to bring back maps, but we need accurate maps of how water flows underneath the ground so that we can protect drinking water from things that happen on the surface. So that team that started around a campfire in the middle of Mexico pulled together this amazing technology, and we built the teamwork that enabled that to happen. We needed people from all different backgrounds, from all different interests, and we needed to train each other in various different aspects of what would come ahead. Because we needed tour guides, we needed cooks, we needed people that could take care of mission control, we needed divers, engineers, technologists, computer specialists, all kinds of skills. And with that imaginative group of people, we managed to pull together some amazing infrastructure to do dives that had never been done before. You can see I'm wearing a lot of equipment for this work. In fact, by the time I would swim into the underwater cave system, I might be carrying up to 250 or 300 kilograms of gear. I might be driving this mapper, pulling another scooter underwater propulsion device, wearing a redundant life support system, carrying a bunch of tanks, and a scientific diving package. That's a lot of equipment. But I needed it because some of my missions were as long as 22 hours. These were dives that had never been done before and absolutely pushed the physiological limits of humanity. More importantly, though, we had a team that could track us from the top side. So we developed a technology that enabled them to walk over the surface of the earth and know exactly where we were underneath their feet. And that's really important if you want to protect your drinking water. In fact, this very same team tracked me underneath a field. They tracked me underneath a river. So a cave system underneath a river system. And they're actually paddling in canoes with gators all around them. But I've also tracked underneath a bowling alley, underneath an industrial park, and even underneath the salad bar of a Sonny's barbecue restaurant. And the team tracked right on top of me. Now, that exploration and that technology was critically important to protecting drinking water resources, but it has a much bigger plan than we initially anticipated. Now, more than almost 25 years later, that technology has made a slow, progressive march towards where it is today. And today, that mapping device doesn't need me to drive it anymore. In fact, it's a fully autonomous, artificially intelligent robot mapper. It doesn't even need a tether. I mean, sometimes we look over its shoulder and we plug in a cable so we can see how it's thinking. But this is a robot, a machine that's capable of exploring on its own without me. And that's really important because we want to be able to explore the deepest depths. We want to explore water that we can't see in. We want to explore contaminated water sources that I couldn't go into. And more importantly, we look into outer space to find life, And as we look for life, we look for water. And this device is intended to go to Jupiter's moon Europa and map the liquid ocean beneath the frozen surface of that moon. So we spend plenty of time looking for water and clean water on planet Earth, but we're also looking out into the stars now. And as I look back on my career and see the development of this device and my own capabilities as an explorer, I recognize that absolutely nothing is impossible. Your wildest dreams as a child can be made to come true through hard work, teamwork, and collaboration with other explorers.